Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Around 8,000 kidney patients across the country undergoing dialysis, 3,000 in need of transplantation every year, patients compelled to come to the capital for procedure. House of Representatives to dwell on budget principles and priorities for the next fiscal session, also expected to dwell on the Federal Civil Service Bill. Israel warns a ground assault on Rafah sheltering 1.4 million people will soon be launched. Plans to push thousands of the displaced in Rafah towards central Gaza. And Borussia Dortmund enters into the quarter-final of Champions League, defeating PSV Eindhoven. Atletico Madrid also book a place in the final 8, defeating Inter Milan. It is World Kidney Day today. Nepal is also celebrating the day with various awareness programs across the country. Unfortunately, the number of kidney patients has been on the rise in recent time, while health services for kidney patients remain to be expanded. The government has been providing dialysis for free and a financial support equivalent to 600,000 rupees to kidney patients. However, public are still compelled to travel to the capital for treatment. Based on government data, around 8,000 patients are receiving dialysis at the moment. On average, 300 patients are receiving transplantation annually, which is just 10% of the total of 3,000 transplantation that is needed every year. The lack of human resources, according to government, has obstructed the expansion of health services across all provinces. Meanwhile, 925 patients have filed applications at the Dharma Bhakta National Transplant Center for kidneys from brain dead. In the span of 7 years, 10 have received kidneys through the process. Patients have said the unavailability of kidneys and the prohibition on receiving kidney from relatives has caused difficulty. Welcome back. The government implemented information technology, IT learning at community schools since the past 12 years. This was followed by the installation of ICT Labs in schools and the expansion of access to internet. More than 15,000 community schools now have computer labs. However, more than 8 billion rupees in government investments have been going to waste due to lack of human resource. Each school has been receiving 650,000 rupees to establish the ICT lab. One teacher from each school is also being provided with 5 days of computer training, which has fallen short. As a result, 40% of the ICT labs across the country have yet to come into operation. The Bhaktapur Janak Siddhikari Secondary School, that has 200 students, for instance, had established the ICT lab some 4 years ago. However, it has yet to come to use due to lack of human resource. Out of 20,000 community schools across the country, 15,000 have ICT labs. Theoretical and practical lessons for computer have been included in the academic curriculum from primary grades, with majority community schools being equipped with IT laboratories. The government has distributed laptops, computers and smart boards, among others, at the federal, provincial and local levels for e-learning. However, at the lack of human resource and courses, the plan of teaching IT to students from an early stage has not been effective. For instance, the Gokundeshwar Bal Mandir Secondary School started computer subjects for students of 4 to 8 grades some 8 years ago. However, due to lack of teachers and human resource to maintain the computer lab, the school has discontinued computer classes since 4 years. 30 computers and support devices have been staying idle since then. Elsewhere, in the Trivun Secondary School in Taplejung's Meringden Rural Municipality, 2 rooms are full of laptops and desktops. However, the school does not have computer teacher. The story is similar for Saraswati Satan Secondary School of Sunsari, Itahari. The government has invested at least 700,000 rupees in each school to support IT classes. Monitors, keyboards, mouse, CPUs and printers in majority of the community schools in Koshi province are collecting dust. It is time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why has information technology related teaching started by the government in community schools not been effective? Your options are A, height of negligence, B, feeble plans and C, lack of manpower. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has warned a ground assault on Rafah, sheltering 1.4 million people, will soon be launched. During a visit to the Gaza Strip, Gallant indicated that the IDF operation against Hamas battalions in the southernmost city of Rafah will happen soon, adding that the troops will reach everyone soon. Army spokesperson Daniel Hagari outlined plans to push a significant amount of the 1.4 million displaced Palestinians in Rafah towards humanitarian islands in the center of the Gaza Strip in advance of Israel's planned offensive on the city. Yesterday, an Israeli strike on an UNRWA aid distribution center left 5 Palestinians dead. At least 31,272 Palestinians have been killed and 73,024 injured in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7 attack stands at 1,139 and dozens continue to be held captive. Israeli lawmakers have approved an amended state budget, adding tens of billions of shekels to fund Israel's war against the Islamist Palestinian group Hamas in Gaza as the conflict runs into its 6th month. Members of the parliament voted in favor of this spending package of 584 billion shekels, which is $160 billion. Israel last year approved a 2-year budget for 2023 and 24, but the Gaza war has shaken up government finances, requiring budget changes and additional spending. Spending was boosted by 70 billion shekels from the original budget, with 55 billion going to the military and 15 billion to finance civilian needs. A UN investigation into the October 13 incident has found an Israeli tank killed Reuters reporter Issam Abdallah in Lebanon last year by firing 2 120mm rounds at a group of clearly identifiable journalists in violation of international law. The investigation by the UN's interim force in Lebanon, summarized in a report seen by Reuters, said its personnel did not record any exchange of fire across the border between Israel and Lebanon for more than 40 minutes before the Israeli Merkava tank opened fire. Under Resolution 1701, adopted in 2006 to bring an end to the war between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah fighters, UN peacekeepers were deployed to monitor a ceasefire along the 120 kilometers demarcation line, which is also known as Blue Line, between Israel and Lebanon. As part of their mission, UN troops record violations of the ceasefire and investigate the most egregious cases. Besides killing Abdallah, the 2 tank rounds also wounded 6 other journalists at the scene. The U.S. House of Representatives has overwhelmingly passed a bill that would give TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance about 6 months to divest the U.S. assets of the short video application used by about 170 million Americans or face a ban. The measure is the latest in a series of moves in Washington to respond to U.S. national security concerns about China, from connected vehicles to advanced artificial intelligence chips and cranes at U.S. ports. Earlier in the day at Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin had said the repeated and baseless suppression on the popular short video application TikTok by the U.S. is an act of bullying that will ultimately backfire on the U.S. itself. Before the vote in the lower house, TikTok content providers had rallied on Capitol Hill to protest the bill. The content creators said they were able to create or scale up their businesses because of TikTok.
My name is Tiffany Yu. I am joining you from Los Angeles, California, and I'm here because I'm a disability advocate, and TikTok changed my life and so many others within the disability community.
What do you do on TikTok?
I make disability advocacy content. I have a series called the Anti-Ableism series where I teach people how to be a better ally to disabled people, and it's got over 5 million views and 250 parts.
TikTok has allowed my dreams that I used to have as a child to come true. I would hate the dreams of all of the other people that use the app that are inspired and educated for those dreams to be crushed.
I run a sticker shop, actually, and my son is a non-speaking autistic artist, and we tuck his designs inside of outlines. And it went viral during the pandemic, and I have another child who had a bone marrow transplant in 2017, so our family had to live in quarantine. So during the pandemic, thanks to that sticker shop, we stayed afloat, and I support a family of 7.
The bill passed 352-65 with bipartisan support, but it faces a more uncertain path in the Senate, where some favor a different approach to regulating foreign-owned applications, posing security concerns. TikTok is used by about 170 million Americans. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un guided a military demonstration involving tank units. In photographs released by state media KCNA, the leader of the reclusive state was pictured peeking out of a tank. The military event was designed to strictly inspect the actual combat capabilities of tank crews and make them familiar with combat action methods on different tactical missions, according to KCNA. The drill involved units near the border that are in firing range of the enemy's capital, referring to South Korean capital Seoul, which has nearly 10 million residents. In South Korea, the joint annual drills with the U.S., known as the Freedom Shield exercises, will come to an end on Thursday, the first of its kind since Pyongyang scrapped a 2018 inter-Korean military pact in November. Europe moved closer to adopting the world's first artificial intelligence rules as EU lawmakers endorse a provisional agreement for a technology whose use is rapidly growing across a wide swath of industries and in everyday life. The legislation called the AI Act will regulate foundation models or generative AI, such as Microsoft-backed OpenAI, that are trained on large volumes of data to generate new content and even perform tasks. It will restrict governments' use of real-time biometric surveillance in public spaces to cases of certain crimes, prevention of genuine threats such as terrorist attacks, and searches for people suspected of the most serious crimes. The rules will cover high-impact, general-purpose AI models and high-risk AI systems, which will have to comply with specific transparency obligations and EU copyright laws. A total of 523 EU lawmakers voted in favor of the deal, while 46 were against and 49 abstained. EU countries are set to give their formal nod to the deal in May, with the legislation expected to enter into force early next year and apply in 2026, although some of the provisions will kick in earlier. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.